For over a decade, one man moved silently through California, slipping into homes under the cover of darkness, observing neighborhoods, studying routines, and striking fear into countless lives without leaving a trace. A shadow whose name would remain unknown for nearly 40 years. A man who became synonymous with terror, yet evaded capture through intelligence, patience, and the limitations of law enforcement technology at the time. Joseph James DeAngelo, born November 8, 1945, in a small California town, served in the U.S. Navy, later studied criminal justice, and at one point worked as a police officer in small-town California. This gave him knowledge that investigators later believed helped him understand how crimes were investigated, how evidence was collected, and how law enforcement might track him. Beneath the uniform and respectable exterior, a dangerous pattern was forming that would stretch across decades and counties, leaving communities in fear and investigators baffled. His earliest known crimes began in the early 1970s as the Visalia Ransacker. He committed over 100 burglaries in Visalia and surrounding areas over roughly 20 months, entering homes when they were unoccupied, rifling through belongings, sometimes stealing minor items. Not simply for gain, but to study the homes, learn routines, and prepare for future attacks, behaviors that hinted at a methodical and calculating mind. In 1976, he moved north to Sacramento County and nearby suburbs, beginning a series of violent home invasions and sexual assaults that would come to be attributed to the East Area Rapist. He targeted couples or single women in their homes, tying up male partners when present, assaulting female victims, sometimes lingering inside the house for hours. He consumed food, rifled through possessions, all while leaving almost no forensic evidence behind. Communities lived in heightened fear, installing locks and security lights, changing routines, yet police often treated these crimes as isolated incidents due to jurisdictional boundaries and limited forensic technology at the time. The East Area Rapist committed dozens of attacks over those years, escalating in sophistication and audacity. By 1979, DeAngelo expanded into Southern California, where his crimes became even more violent, earning him the moniker of the original Night Stalker. A series of home invasion murders shook communities, confirmed cases numbering at least 13. Each left families devastated, neighborhoods terrified, and investigators struggling to link these killings to earlier rapes and burglaries. The separation of cases across counties, the different types of crimes, and lack of coordination and forensic ability in the 1970s and 1980s allowed DeAngelo to evade capture while fear spread. Victims and communities remained anxious. Families installed security measures. Neighbors watched out for each other. Decades passed without his identity being known. Investigators preserved evidence, including biological samples, hoping that one day science might offer a breakthrough. Although he ceased criminal activity publicly after 1986, his psychological footprint endured. Investigators held files. Cold cases remained open. Communities were haunted by memories of terror. In the 2000s and 2010s, advances in DNA technology allowed forensic analysts to re-examine old evidence, discovering that DNA from Northern California rapes matched DNA from Southern California murders, proving for the first time that the Visalia Ransacker, the East Area Rapist, and the original Night Stalker were in fact the same person. This revelation reframed decades of investigation and brought hope that justice might finally be possible. Using genetic genealogy, investigators uploaded the unknown DNA profile to public databases to identify distant relatives, building family trees and narrowing down suspects. Eventually, they focused on Joseph James DeAngelo. DNA collected from discarded items confirmed the match, leading to his arrest on April 24, 2018, at his Sacramento home at age 72, nearly 40 years after his first known crime. This arrest brought to an end a lifetime of fear for hundreds of victims and countless communities. In June 2020, DeAngelo pleaded guilty to 13 counts of first-degree murder and 13 kidnapping or robbery counts with special circumstances. He also admitted to dozens of additional assaults and crimes, a confession that united decades of previously disconnected crimes under one man, demonstrating the power of preserved evidence, DNA, and genetic genealogy in solving cold cases. In August 2020, he was sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, finally bringing long-awaited closure to victims and their families, while serving as a historic example of modern investigative methods, forensic persistence, and justice delayed but ultimately achieved.
The Golden State Killer case highlights how a single criminal could evolve from burglar to rapist to murderer across counties and decades, leaving communities in fear while evading capture due to intelligence, knowledge of law enforcement, and the limitations in investigative technology at the time. It reminds us the truth, though delayed, can never be denied. Justice can arrive even after decades, and perseverance, science, and dedication can illuminate even the darkest chapters of history. This case shows that decades of unanswered questions can find closure. Knowledge combined with technology can finally bring justice to those who were wronged, and victims and survivors deserve to have their stories heard, their suffering acknowledged, and their justice delivered. It serves as a historic law enforcement achievement, a story of hope and resilience, and a reminder that even the most elusive criminals can be unmasked, offering hope for cold cases everywhere. It illustrates how innovation, persistence, and courage ultimately prevail over fear, showing that the Golden State Killer, despite decades of evasion, could not escape accountability, proving that truth and justice, while sometimes delayed, are inevitable. The case demonstrates the importance of collaboration across jurisdictions, the value of preserving evidence, the impact of forensic breakthroughs, and the moral responsibility to seek justice for victims. The Golden State Killer's crimes affected hundreds of families and countless lives, leaving scars on communities, but the eventual capture, conviction, and life sentence of Joseph James DeAngelo serve as a testament to the perseverance of investigators, the power of technology, and the promise that even after decades, justice can prevail. It stands as a historic milestone not only in criminal investigation, but in the use of genetic genealogy, a method that has since solved other cold cases, illustrating the far-reaching consequences of innovation in law enforcement. It reminds us that even when darkness seems to have the upper hand, human determination combined with scientific advancement can illuminate the truth, bring accountability, and provide closure to those affected by unimaginable fear, making this case both a lesson in vigilance and a story of ultimate justice. And if you want to follow more stories of solved mysteries, historic cases, and remarkable investigative breakthroughs, subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a story where truth triumphs, justice is delivered, and history's darkest mysteries are finally revealed.